When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. We'll get access to any of my early content. Check out the Discord. This is the bargain between an evil god and a villain, part 9. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. Izuku showed no fear, pointed his bone sword at the zombified dragon. Most people would call him completely suicidal or insane, but that's what makes it fun for him. The mere thought of him actually dying is thrilling for him. Izuku doesn't have some sort of death wish, but he knows the moment he dies, he'll just be brought back to life in a brand new world, probably in a new body, so he doesn't fear death. He knows there's something more afterwards. Izuku kept his sword pointed at the dragon, while it slowly approached, getting closer with each step of his dragon claws. All of the nearby zombies gave the dragon a wide berth. It immediately charged at Izuku as it launched his mouth forward, trying to capture Izuku in his teeth, or his mouth basically, only for Izuku to slap the dragon away by slamming his bone shield across the snout of the dragon. The moment he smashed it with his bone shield, he lashed out with his bone sword across the face, right across the snout with his black bone sword. The dragon sneered, but it backed off. It did something Izuku wasn't expecting. It shrunk his size as the humongous dragon slowly shifted into a smaller one, still bigger than a full-grown adult, but a lot more smaller than his previous size. Izuku could only grin from the sight. Izuku immediately brought up his bone shield. It's a good thing he did, as he barely blocked a claw swipe from the dragon, sending Izuku sliding backwards as his bone shield cracked slightly from the impact from the dragon claw. Impressive. You discard your size for speed, and I could tell you didn't sacrifice your strength at all for your new increased speed. This is definitely my aunt's handiwork, written all over it. Izuku immediately had to leap out of the way as the dragon started to attack him with his long dragon tail that had spikes at the end of it. Some of the flesh was rotting away on the tail of the dragon, only part of the dragon that's been slowly decaying. The dragon started to attack with its tail faster and faster, as the dragon finally landed a solid hit as a tail swipe managed to hit in the middle of the chest of Izuku, sending him flying into a nearby car, crashing right into it as glass begins to break. Izuku only looked up and smiled. as he casually got up and dusted the dirt and glass from his shoulders. Izuku is thankful because of his quirk. He's far more durable compared to normal people. It'll take a lot more to break his bones. He's never actually broken a bone in his body, ever. The attack still hurt, nothing serious. Fortunately, he can't say that for his shirt, as there is clearly a rip mark from the tail swipe ripped out of his shirt. So, he's a bit irritated with that. But even so, it ripped through his shirt. It never pierced through his skin. Izuku charged forward, while his sword was dragging across the street, making sparks, as fireballs get shot forward from the dragon's mouth towards Izuku. Izuku used the nearby object around him to springboard from street signs to other cars to start the zigzag lines across the street, using all the street sign cars to cut the distance. He did that while fireballs was shooting towards him. Izuku got in range and leaped up in the middle of the air as the dragon unleashed another fireball. The moment Izuku was in there, basically it shot the fireball the moment he saw Izuku was airborne. Izuku coated his right foot in some sort of bone armor and kicked the fireball out of the way, and went into a backflip spin over the dragon. The moment Izuku was upside down above the dragon, a humongous blaster skull was created. Then it instantly began to shoot out a green beam out of the skull's mouth. As Izuku landed on top of the large blasting skull, grinning. When the smoke cleared, the zombies by the dragon was heavily damaged or destroyed, and the dragon itself is heavily damaged. Majority of the dragon's scales were charred and burnt, and there was pieces of his body missing. There's a good portion of the right side of the dragon torso was completely eradicated. By some miracle, the dragon still has access to all the 4 limbs of his body. Even with a good portion of the body destroyed, obliterated, it still was able to move his limbs like it wasn't bothered whatsoever. Izuku was still hovering above the ground while standing on top of his large skull blaster. He tapped his foot once as the skull blaster opened its mouth and began to shoot out rapid shots of green energy beams out of his mouth, raining down upon the dragon, stopping the dragon from making any further hostile moves. One energy beam turned into 1, so that 1 turned into 2, 3 turned into 4, 4 turned to 8, as continuously beams of energy is being shot out at the same time. As by now, Izuku has created several more large blaster skulls to add to the fire blast. He's basically doing this all at the same time. Izuku was breathing heavy as he made his blaster skulls to hover down and begin to descent. As the blaster skulls begin to disintegrate into bone particles, giving Izuku enough time to jump off of the top of the skull onto the ground. When the smoke cleared, the dragon was dead. The remains of the dragon body was beginning to dissolve, alongside with all the zombies in the scenario begin to dissolve as well at the same time when the dragon was killed. Despite how exhausted he is, he didn't allow to show it on his face. He controlled his breathing and met up with Izumi, who's clearly panting from killing all the nearby zombies continuously while Izuku was taking care of the zombie dragon. You good? Just dandy. Well, I got my exercise of the day. Let's head back. We came and done what we needed. Let's go. The path back to the original position where they started. When they arrived, when they climbed out of the Cerberus pods. Once they have successfully made it back to the starting point, they climb right back into the Cerberus pods. And when they opened their eyes, they were back in the stadium with his aunt waiting for them. Marvelous. But don't move too much. I need to make sure you're not injured. As she took out her medical device. As she noticed the slight burns on her nephew's hand and arm, she began to apply ointment to help with the recovery from the burns. Did good, nephew. I got some really good data. I'm definitely going to have to look into the safety precautions. For some reason, they didn't activate. I'm going to have to look into that. Hey, Izzy, we should probably head back. The sun's already beginning to drop. You're probably right. It was nice to see you again and all. Always a pleasure to spend time with my favorite nephew. I'm your only nephew. Doesn't change the fact that you're my favorite. But before you go, how did you like it? It was most entertaining. I wasn't expecting the whole zombie scenario, but it was entertaining. If you need any more scenarios to test or terrain, you know how to get a hold of me. Excellent. Don't tell your mom about this. She would kill me. Sure, why not? See you around. Izuku walked out of the stadium with Izumi and head their way back to the house. It didn't take him long to get back. The moment they got back, they got cleaned up and dressed just in time for dinner. It was already being finished about the time they got to the kitchen. As they sat down, Izumi, her brother, and her mother, Mitsuki. You look really exhausted. Are you okay, dear? Fine, Mitsuki. I just helped my aunt with supping. It's been a long day. So how's school been going for you? It's going well. If I remember right, you have one more year of middle school. Like my ungrateful bastard over here. Go wanted to reply, but he doesn't want to deal with all the drama. So, he kept his mouth shut and continued eating. He's clearly annoyed by his mother's remark. But he's not stupid. Izumi could only smirk at her brother. She finds him annoying half the time. He's always too serious, and he clearly has anger issues. She had to put him in his place a couple of times when he took things too far. After Izuku got done eating, he helped Mitsuki with the dishes and made his way to his room. He shut and locked the door. He went to his computer and hacked into the police database to find low-tier criminals that won't be missed if they disappeared. He hasn't been able to continue his education on torturing, so he wants to continue that. 4 days has passed. His mother will be gone for several more weeks, and the Bakugo family is still staying at his house, So naturally, he hasn't been active as Grimm, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been that he hasn't been busy. He eventually located the criminal that he's been researching. Izuku is currently in his headquarters in the abandoned train station. Underneath it, he has his subject on the slab table in the middle of the room. Naturally, Izuku is in his Grimm attire, wearing his mask the entire time, so his face doesn't get recognized. If by some miracle chance someone manages to escape his care, Izuku's not stupid. He takes precautions to ensure his identity doesn't get compromised. Rise and shine, my new friend. What the fuck? Where I am and who the fuck are you? Who I am doesn't matter, nor does your current location. You're currently in my care. Grimm casually walked up to the small table on the back end of the room. They begin to start the recorder. It begins to play classical music as he pulled a rolling tray into the room filled with all different type of torture tools. The criminal noticed all the sharp objects as he started to curse and threaten Grimm with all colorful words. You're gonna have to kill me. I'm not gonna tell you shit. You're clearly mistaken. I'm not here for information, my criminal friend. Then why are you doing this? For learning, of course. Now where should I start? As he hovered his hand over the top of the tray, mere inches away from all the different torturing tools. Izuku got a vicious grin on his face. He's been meaning to try this, but he's uncertain if this would actually work. He's seen it on a couple of movies a few times that he's occasionally watched, so he wants to test it out, see if it works. So he went to a separate room, briefly went upstairs to grab a nearby rat on the ground, several actually, and came down from the ground level to his basement level of his basically his headquarters, and came back with a couple large glasses, glass containers, very thick, and some sort of cage filled with rats. He placed the rat inside the large, thick glass container, then flipped it over and placed it over the man's stomach. What the fuck are you doing that for? That, my friend, is glass container with a rat trapped inside. He was clearly confused at first. Then he saw the blowtorch in his free hand. You better fucking not, you psycho. That's not very nice. Name calling? What are you, 5? But it matters not. Considering you're not a complete moron, you know what exactly I'm going to do. I've seen this in movies a couple of times. See, I was curious if it actually works. For educational purposes, of course. This is nothing personal. Appreciate your help in this little experiment, my criminal friend. As he immediately activated the blowtorch and placed the flame over the top part of the glass container, far away from the rats. As the glass begins to heat, making the rats uncomfortable from the heat, from the different temperature change. As the rat begins to dig into the man's stomach, trying to get away from the extreme heat, From the blowtorch, the man on the slab table was screaming non-stop as the rat tore through the man's stomach, as he did the same thing with several other rats into different parts of his body, until there was 8 rats total in his body, burrowing through his skin, eating his organs. It only took the man about 5 or 6 hours till the man finally died. Izuku begins to extract all of the rats and place them in a container. As he begins to rinse off any of the bloody tools, including the rats, once his little helpers were nice and clean, he went back onto the ground level and released them. As he went back down to the sub-basement area, basically, and finished cleaning the rest of his tools, Izuku proceeded to get rid of the body by using his indoor furnace. At his base of operation, because how it's set up, the smell would only go through the sewer system, not the surface. So the surface level won't be able to smell burned flesh. Once that was done, he begins to remove his grim attire and put it in his closet in his office as he starts to clean up the blood anywhere on his body. Zelik finally made himself known. Yo, you've been awfully quiet. I was saving my energy. You seem to be busy while I was away. I might not have been vocal, but I'm very aware of the situation. You're handling that whole thing nicely. Zelik could reveal magic was involved, that little holographic battle simulator, but he doesn't want to ruin the surprise. It wouldn't even matter if he did or if he didn't. It has no bearing on Izuku or him at all. The Cerberus thing was a quite interesting type of technology, infused with magic and technology. He found it interesting, but it doesn't affect his grand plan. So what's the plan? I've been idle too long, but I can't do anything right now while the Bakugo family is still staying at the house, and my mother should be arriving back in a couple weeks. With my mother arrival, she'll keep them busy, giving me time to continue my activities as a villain known as Gran. Very well, but I gotta say that whole rat thing was quite interesting. I would have to agree. I wasn't sure it would work or not. It was most effective. I'll be heading back to the house soon. The body's still burning, and I'll come back tomorrow to get rid of the remains that's left from the cremation. I've been meaning to ask this. How could I use your portals, your portals, while you were in your little hibernation? You weren't using my teleportation, you were using your own portal ability I granted you a while ago. I just never said anything. It's a benefit from our contract, from our deal. Think of it as a side effect. And who knows, you might develop some sort of shadow manipulation powers. After all, my powers is based off of darkness and shadows. It's only natural you would inherit some of my abilities to a lesser degree, but still far more powerful than anything on this world. Izuku only nodded at Zelik, as Zelik returned back into Izuku's shadow. A few hours later, he opened the black portal and head back to his room. to get some much needed rest. Several weeks has passed. Inko arrived earlier last week, so his mother has been busying herself with her friends and her friends' kids, giving Izuku some free time to continue his activities as Grimm. Izuku was getting dressed in his gear. He keeps his villain equipment and attire, or costume, no matter how you want to phrase it, at his base of operation. His mother has already been suspicious of him. Keeping that laying around in his room would be a very bad idea, regardless how hidden it is. He doesn't want to take that chance. He doesn't want his nighttime activities to be discovered. At least not yet. Izuku just finished getting ready. Only thing left is his mask. This time around, he created the same type of mask, but the outer layers of the mask is pure bone that he created himself using his quirk for an extra layer of armor without sacrificing the technology in place into the mask itself. Yes, he could easily create several bone masks, but it won't have the benefits of the technology in his current mask. And his technology is an asset in combat, so he doesn't wish to lose that. With a single snap of his finger, a black portal appeared, made of pure shadows. Izuku had better control over this portal ability. It wasn't hard at first, but he had plenty of time for practice while he was in his room at the late of night. Doesn't really make a whole lot of noise, so it doesn't get noticed. He's no expert when it comes to this ability, but he's at least adapt to it. Grimm walked through the portal and reappeared somewhere in the city on top of a building. Grimm begins to jump from rooftop to rooftop. He has no direction yet. He wants to get the feel of the city. It's been a while since he's done this at night. Naturally, he hasn't forgotten about his unfinished business. Naturally, he hasn't forgot about his unfinished business with Apex and her brother, Muscular. That he hasn't actually met yet. He hasn't actually met the man that goes by Muscular. But he knows what he looks like from the pictures he got from the database of the police department. Grimm skid to a stop, sensing something coming his way, and coming his way fast. Brace yourself, something's coming our way. Grimm created a bone dagger in his hand as two white cloaked figures appeared on both of his flanks, boxing him in. The white cloaked figures did not talk. They drew out their swords as they charged forward at the same time, one coming from the front and one coming from behind. Grimm blocked the cloaked figure in front of him, stopping his sword with his bone dagger, and kicked him out of the way. Then Grimm spin around and block the attack from behind, blocking his sword with two of his bone daggers and a cross mark. The cloak figures that he kicked away earlier started to conjure fireballs and start to throw it at Izuku. Grimm backed off, but before he did, he struck the hooded figure in the face with his fist, sending him skidding backwards. Any idea who these crazy bastards are? They definitely don't look like locals. That's because they're not. They're from my dimension. They're from the Holy Church. Those two, my green hair friend, are executioners. And I take it they're here for you. Not just me, but you as well. You're guilty just by association. They would see you as corrupt, tainted, that needs to be cleansed by fire and blade. The thing about their order, they're very predictable. Order is a well-oiled machine, completely functional and boring, but strong. You might want to kill the one casting magic that's in the back. It looks like he's about to use some sort of electric-based spell. Grim refocuses his attention at his opponent. The first one, the figure that he punched, has recovered by now, with his sword out in a stance, while the other hooded figure behind him started to cast a lightning-based spell. Grim waited for the moment. The electric-based attack flew into the air. Then Grim covered his entire body in bone armor that covered him from head to toe. When the lightning spell hit his armor, it bounced off it, cracking the bone slightly from the impact. Meanwhile, Grim went into a burst of speed, charging at his opponent. The bone armor dissipated in mid-sprint. Grim threw his dagger at the closest opponent, making his opponent redirect his flying dagger with his sword, only for Grim to get into his guard and slam the bone shield that he created while he was distracted, slamming it against his face, sending him off the roof. But before he could continue his assault, he placed his shield above him, blocking a sword swing, swinging downwards into a slash from the other hooded figure, as a blaster skull appeared right above both of them, with his mouth wide open, charging energy. Grim gave his opponent a smirk the hooded figure could see his smirk because his mask doesn't cover his entire face. Only covers the upper part of his face, leaving his mouth exposed, as he gave a massive grin at his opponent into a smirk. Then he immediately disengaged, leaping backward as a large beam of green energy rained down upon the executioner. Grim did the smartest move and retreated. The Holy Church is an unknown factor. Any further actions would be interrupted by these freaks. He needs to know more information. He needs to plan accordingly. About time the two heavenly executioners, holy executioners, regained consciousness. Their target was gone. They immediately went back to report back to Lydia to reveal what they discovered. The moment they got back to his base of operation, to his headquarters, he didn't know much about this church. If they're going to be openly attacking him from now on, he needs answers, and he's going to get answers from Zelik. I need answers. Very well. I know a little about their order, not a whole lot, but the information I reveal to you will definitely be beneficial. In my world, in my dimension, there's not just one god. There's several, light goddesses. Oh, the light goddess, my dear sister, is the main goddess that the church worship. They follow her command without hesitation. And naturally, because I'm the god of darkness and shadows and all that, the bitch always had it out for me. And I might have caused some little trouble now and then to make things a little more interesting. So naturally, with my fellow goddesses and gods tried to challenge me, I attacked them without hesitation. They were interrupting my fun, and I couldn't have that. I might have underestimated them. My ignorance, arrogance. Most of my power was sealed away. Of course, my elder sister ordered my death. The goddess of mercy. Don't make me laugh. She's more evil than I ever could, portraying herself as a gentle, honest saint of a goddess. But enough about that. The cloak figures you fought just now, I know those cloak figures. That singular, that symbol on their cloaks. They're executioners directly under the command of Lydia. Be careful of that one. If those people are here, she's definitely here. That female mortal, she's a crafty one, incredibly powerful. If you fought her, you would lose. There's no doubt about it. It's a mere fact. Is she that strong? Indeed, my green hair friend. You might be able to keep up with her for a time, but she would overpower you. She has far more experience, and she has access to deadly spells. You wouldn't stand a chance. I estimate at your skill level, you might last maybe an hour or two before she overwhelms you and strikes you down. Interesting. Very interesting. That's what I like about you, Midoriya. When you're faced with an overwhelming opponent, you don't cower, you don't fear, you simply find it interesting. Finding a stronger opponent to be a good thing. Of course. Why would I? I don't need fear. It has no use for me. It's a pointless emotion for weak-willed minds. Fear is for prey, not for alpha predators. Oh, so you're an alpha predator now? I've always been an alpha predator from the start, Zelik. Zelik only chuckled. So how should we play this, Zelik? You're more familiar with our opponents than I am. Make sure if you come across her executioners, again, kill them. The last thing we need is you to face the entire unit of executioners. Each member not be as strong as you are, but together they'll be quite deadly. I'm not surprised by those executioner skills. They were impressive. I didn't cross blades with them often during the fight, but they clearly have good technique. Not surprising. They're some sort of holy warrior cult. You're not entirely wrong there, kid. They don't see the world like we do. They only see the world black and white, good and evil. There is no gray in their world. Anything that symbolizes darkness in any way is eradicated, regardless if the source of darkness in their eyes is an artifact, another mortal. They show no mercy. They cleanse all darkness and evil, even if the evil is not really evil. Even if they kill you, they'll just be playing in my hands. It'll be a little ahead of schedule, but worry not. Your death won't be your last. That's comforting in an ominous way. I like it. Next couple weeks, Izuku concentrated on his time in training. He has no doubt he'll be facing Lydia at some point. He needs to be stronger. In the midst of his training, at his headquarters, his phone went off. It was his aunt. He immediately answered it. Zuku speaking. How can I help you, Aunt? Good, you picked up. I could use your help back at the stadium. I got another program I want you to test out, if you're up for it. Sounds like fun. Count me in. Excellent, I'll see you soon. As he hanged up the phone. Quite like danger, don't you? It's good for training. It's the closest to another source of live combat. What you're doing, you're using these simulation battles as experience because how lifelike it is. But I'm quite curious what that aunt of yours created. The last time, the zombie thing, was quite an interesting show. I'm looking forward to what she comes up with next. As he grinned, start to laugh, showing all his sharp teeth as he phased back into Izuku's shadow. And that's where we're going to stop it there for now. I'll catch you in the next part.